Hey guys, Professor Bill Comic Book Universe in Deadpool, issue number 2. This was, for all intents and purposes, pretty cool. There were a lot of funny moments in here, but there was a lot of writing, a lot of reading, that a lot of it didn't necessarily go anywhere. This almost felt like I was reading a comic book version of Family Guy, where you got, okay, this fairly funny thing is happening, and all of a sudden a reference to pop culture from back in the day happens, where okay, I may or may not actually get that reference. And if I get it, it's like, oh, cool. If I don't, it's like, what the F? So I felt like it just really, this is going to sound weird, but it really slowed down the Deadpool story. Deadpool does have stories, all right? In fact, the best Deadpool stories have actual stories. They go someplace. This is more like a comedy skit that just doesn't seem to want to end. There's no beginning to this. There's no end to this. It starts off with not Deadpool. It starts off with the champions fighting the Juggernaut. And then all of a sudden it breaks into, oh, this gigantic monster just lands on the ground. And Deadpool, meanwhile, is having hot dogs or something like that in the mall. And they're talking about movies with a bunch of nerds, and he's about to kill one of them. And then Captain America says that he likes You've Got Mail. It's the best romantic movie in the world. And it's like, what the F? And then he tries to kill Captain America. He already had his sword out, and he breaks his sword on. And Captain America's talking about, oh, dude, was that a really important sword? He just tried to kill you. He had the sword out pointing towards somebody else. I'm sorry. That's usually the cue for Captain America to punch you in your head and dislocate your jaw. But so I'm just like, who is this person with this stars and stripes and the shield? What's going on here? Iron Man was funny in this. He was very impatient, and he's like, oh man, I'm sick of this guy. I'm just gonna repulsor blast his head off, and like the Avengers team was correct, like it was actually in the moment. You know what I'm saying? The champions team was correct. The Avengers team was correct. It was the correct lineup. What's her name? She-Hulk looked a little bit small. But I'm trying to like nitpick as best I can, and there's not much there to nitpick at. But for the most part, this was okay. This was okay. It's like Deadpool is not just slapstick, and you know what? That's actually the perfect way to fall into that. Slapstick is a character who is just really silly, and we've got that character. He's over here. This is Deadpool. Deadpool is not slapstick. So I understand that there's some slapstick humor going on here, but I think that characters are being confused. Wasn't slapstick actually in the Deadpool core at one point? I don't remember that run very well. Anyway, it was just too crazy. This was I think that if you're a Deadpool fan and you're like just a steadfast Deadpool fan, I'm gonna like this no matter what. Okay, here you go, man. Boom. I hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you enjoyed this. But as for me, I'm hoping for a little bit more. And literally, this didn't know where to start. It didn't know where to end. It ended right at he's standing in front of this big monster, and he pulls the trigger on this weapon that he thought was a universal weapon. Instead, it's not, apparently. And he's just like, oh, well, this is bad. And the monster's right there about to puke baby vomit on him or something like that. And like that's where the comic book ends. That's not hanging on a cliffhanger. That's like, dude, that's not a cliffhanger. Me coming up to try and punch somebody and missing, and then, the other guy goes, oh, you're in for it now, and that's where the comic book ends. That's not a cliffhanger. Understand the difference between a cliffhanger and just running out of pages. That's what happened here. This could have been so much better by not writing this particular story, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to stick along. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to see what's up. Scotty Young, I know he's got a great sense of humor. I almost wish that he were the one drawing this comic book. It maybe would have felt better if it were him drawing it, the little chibi type characters that he does. I think that would have maybe made the comic book feel a little bit more grounded, because then I'm not thinking this is really a Deadpool comic. You know what I'm saying? You can write the characters any way you want if you're going to draw them extremely different, But anyway, Nick Klein is doing the art, and I think he's doing all the art in this book, which is amazing, and that includes the covers. And the dude just deserves such a pat, like an almost dangerous pat on the back. It's that good. The art in this is spectacular. Whoa! And like I said, anybody who draws his own covers for a comic book has my undying gratitude and respect, because there's no question what I'm getting when I open this comic book, art-wise at least. As far as Scotty, yeah, the comic book would have felt better if it actually had an ending to it. And I'm not talking about a finality to the comic book. No, continue with an arc. Absolutely, do an arc. But running out of pages is not the same as ending on a cliffhanger. That's falling off the cliff. Anyway, guys, we'll move on. See what it feels like next month. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.